All right, welcome back everyone for another deep dive. You know how this works by now. We're diving deep into some fascinating stuff. And this time, well, let's just say it's a classic. We're tackling George Orwell's 1984.
Yeah, 1984. I mean, talk about a book that just stays with you.
It really does. And you know what's so crazy is that it was written back in 1949. But so much of it feels like it could be happening today.
Oh, absolutely. It's like Orwell was looking into the future or something. The surveillance, the propaganda, the control over information.
It's chilling, right?
Totally. But that's what makes it such an important book to talk about.
Okay, so for those who haven't read it, or maybe it's been a while, let's set the scene.
Yeah, paint us a picture.
All right, so picture this. You wake up in this tiny, dingy apartment. The walls are kind of gray. Everything feels a bit run down. You're in what used to be London, but now it's called Airstrip 1, part of this massive superstate called Oceania.
And Oceania is ruled by who?
The party. Big Brother is always watching.
Always watch.
You've got these telescreens everywhere, blasting out propaganda. Food is rationed. You're constantly being monitored. And if you even think the wrong thing,
You could vanish.
vaporized. Just like that. That's Winston Smith's reality.
Yeah, Winston, our main guy.
He's just an average guy trying to survive this crazy world.
And that's one of the things that makes the book so powerful, right?
Yeah.
Winston isn't some kind of superhero or rebel leader. He's just a regular person.
Oh.
He hates the party, but he's also terrified of them. He wants a normal life, some connection, some beauty.
He just wants a decent cup of coffee.
Exactly.
It's those little details that make it so real. You can almost taste the dust in his apartment,
Yeah.
feel the grime on those old forbidden books he finds.
It's so visceral.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it's not just the physical environment that's controlled, right? There's this whole other layer. Newspeak.
Ah, Newspeak. Orwell's masterpiece of linguistic manipulation.
Just like they're shrinking the language, getting rid of words.
Because if you can't even name something, you can't think about it, you can't rebel against it.
Right? Like freedom, individuality, critical thinking.
All those dangerous concepts just gone.
So you're in this world where your thoughts are being policed.
And your history is being rewritten.
And even your emotions are manipulated. Like with the 2 minutes hate.
Ugh, the 2 minutes hate. Can you imagine that?
Being forced to scream and rage at a screen, directing all your anger at this supposed enemy, Emmanuel Goldstein.
It's brilliant in a really twisted way. Orwell understood how to control people's emotions.
It's like a pressure valve, right?
Yes.
All that fear and frustration gets channeled into this ritualized hatred.
And it creates this sense of unity too, doesn't it?
Yeah, everyone's united against this common enemy.
It reinforces Big Brother's power, makes him seem like the protector.
It's so disturbing because we see this happening in the real world.
Oh, all the time.
The way certain groups are demonized, turned into scapegoats.
The way propaganda whips people into a frenzy.
Orwell was way ahead of his time.
Absolutely.
But amidst all this darkness, there's a flicker of light. Winston finds a connection with Julia. They have these secret rendezvous, stolen moments of pleasure. It's like a tiny act of rebellion in a world that demands total conformity.
What's interesting about Julia is that she's very practical. She's not trying to overthrow the party or anything. It's more about carving out little spaces of freedom for herself.
Yeah, she's all about reclaiming her own desires, her own individuality.
It's like a quiet resistance, a way of saying, I'm still human.
It's a powerful message, especially in a world designed to dehumanize you.
And it contrasts nicely with Winston's approach to rebellion.
Right, he's drawn to this idea of organized resistance, the Brotherhood, led by this mysterious figure, O'Brien.
O'Brien.
He's searching for a bigger solution, a way to dismantle the system entirely.
And for a while, it seems like O'Brien might be the key.
When Winston and Julia visit his luxurious apartment,
It's like stepping into a forbidden world.
the telescreen is off, there's real wine and conversation.
Yeah.
It almost feels too good to be true.
And that's where Orwell starts to play with our expectations.
Yeah, he sets us up for this big twist.
Like a punch to the gut. Exactly. O'Brien, the guy they thought they could trust. He's actually a high-ranking party member.
It's like finding out your therapist is working for Big Brother.
Uh-huh. Right?
That scene where O'Brien reveals his true colors, it's just ice cold.
Yeah, it sends shivers down your spine. You realize they were being played the whole time.
And suddenly that luxurious apartment feels more like a trap.
It was a trap.
It shows you how totalitarian regimes operate.
They prey on your hopes, your desires.
They twist everything to fit their agenda.
And from there, things just get darker.
Winston and Julia are captured, separated, thrown into the Ministry of Love.
The Ministry of Love, what a name. More like the Ministry of Fear.
That's where they break you, right?
Absolutely. Orwell doesn't shy away from the brutality of it.
The physical torture is one thing, but the psychological manipulation is even worse.
It's like they're trying to erase your very identity.
You're constantly being watched, deprived of sleep. They feed you lies, distort your perception of reality.
It's a systematic deconstruction of the self.
And it all culminates in Room 101.
Ugh,
Room 101.
the ultimate nightmare.
Everyone has their own personal hell in there.
The thing they fear most in the world.
And the party uses that fear to crush your resistance.
For Winston, it's rats.
Rats.
He's absolutely terrified of them.
And they use that fear to make him betray Julia.
To renounce everything he believed in.
It's one of the most heartbreaking moments in the book.
You see him completely broken, a shell of his former self.
It shows you the power of fear, how it can make you do anything.
And in the end, Winston is reintegrated into society. He loves Big Brother, accepts the party's version of reality.
He becomes the very thing he hated.
It's a chilling ending, but it makes you think.
It's a warning, right, about what happens when we let go of our freedom.
When we stop questioning, stop thinking for ourselves.
But even in Winston's defeat, there's a glimmer of hope.
What do you mean?
He represents the human capacity for resistance.
When it seems impossible.
It's a reminder that the desire for freedom can never be fully extinguished. It might be buried deep down, but it's still there. It's a powerful message. And as we step back from 1984, it's hard not to see some parallels to our own world.
Oh, definitely.
We have constant surveillance, the spread of misinformation and propaganda.
Algorithms shaping what we see and think.
It's like Orwell was giving us a roadmap to the 21st century.
In a way, he was.
So the question is, how do we navigate this world without falling into the same traps as Winston?
I think critical thinking is more important than ever.
Yeah, we can't just passively absorb information.
We have to question it, analyze it, think about the source, the agenda.
Look for those hidden biases.
It's like being your own fact checker.
Your own editor, which takes effort, especially when we're bombarded with so much information.
Exactly. But that's why 1984 is such a vital book.
It's a wake-up call.
It reminds us that any system, any technology, can be used for control and manipulation.
So we have to be vigilant.
We can't take our freedom for granted.
It's something we have to constantly defend. And that starts with awareness, questioning everything.
Refusing to accept the easy answers.
I think that's what makes Winston's story so important. Even though he's ultimately defeated, he reminds us that the human spirit can endure.
That the desire for freedom, it's a fundamental part of who we are.
And that's something worth fighting for. So as we wrap up this deep dive into 1984, I'm going to leave you with this question. What would you do to stay human in a world that tries to dehumanize you?
What values would you hold on to, even when the odds are stacked against you?
Think about it, because in the end, that's what 1984 is all about. It's a call to action, a reminder that we all have a role to play in safeguarding our freedom.
Our individuality, our right to think for ourselves.
And if you're looking for more deep dives into thought-provoking books, make sure to check out our YouTube channel. I Don't Have Time to Read. We'll keep exploring these big ideas so you don't have to. Until next time, keep thinking, keep questioning, and stay human.